What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Hey BALLBUSTERS, welcome to episode 3 of Metal Beer Horror, the podcast that's exactly what you think it is. I am Bates, and joining me as always are my co-hosts,
Ray Mungus,
Tom, and the Leather Rebel.
We are recording this episode today on Sunday, February 18th, 2018, and you should be hearing it sometime around mid-March. As long as everything goes right. Who fucking knows at this point with us? Before we begin, we want to thank our friends Magus Beast for providing us with our theme song, Death Before Dishonor. If you dug what you heard, please check them out. Facebook.com/Magus Beast. Also, quick shout out to Steve Cusimano for editing it for our show.
And real quick about Magus Beast, they are currently selling tickets for an upcoming show of theirs at Blackthorn 51, and they will be opening for the world's only all-female tribute band to Iron Maiden called the Iron Maidens. So more information can be found on the Facebook page of Magus Beast. Check it out, guys.
Thank you, LR. While we're showing our appreciation, and extra special thanks to John Mantell for designing the Way of Life Network's zombified mascot, Markie.
You really don't like that name, do you?
People are going to think of like Marky Ramone or some shit.
I was just going to say
Marky
that.
Ramone.
I was thinking Mark and the Funky Bunch.
But just let's set the record straight here. I named him Marky because of Mark Venturini, who played Suicide in Return of the Living Dead, who is our namesake, mostly namesake for our channel. So it makes sense, damn it.
Marky Ramone.
Fuck you.
Anyway, and we also just want to thank just everybody for tuning in to maybe the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, all 50 of you.
All 50. I wish that was...
God, I wish.
Well, I was on last night and I saw we had like 55 views on the first episode.
Well, we did get 55 clicks. We don't know if they listened. We hope they did.
49 of those were mine. Sorry, guys.
Well, it's definitely not me. I don't listen to this nonsense.
Well, for anybody who put up with our nonsense in the first 2 episodes and are back for a third, we appreciate it more than you can imagine at this point. So thank you very much. We hope you liked the first 2, and that's why you're listening to number 3.
And you know what? We've been putting up with Matt's nonsense for years, and he never says thank you. So, take that for what it is, you guys.
That's true.
See, I'm the host, and I don't even get fucking special treatment here. Hear this shit I gotta deal with?
No offense, you shouldn't get any type of special treatment, let's put it this. We love you like a brother, but come on. We're brothers. We bust each other's nuts, and then we laugh about it.
Yeah.
You should know that by now.
Yeah, Marky.
Sure. Anyway, so what we've been doing in between episodes,
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Too much. I'm tired.
At this point, we should have been back from Monster Mania.
Yeah, we have to talk in this weird time travel-y sense because we're recording it in February, and I'm surprised I know that. And we have to talk about things that are supposedly going to happen next month that we're hopeful that are going to happen. So Monster Mania was a blast.
I think someone should jump in the DeLorean and make sure that, they fact check all this.
We should fact check it, right?
Yes.
Just verify.
Whether it's a DeLorean or a phone.
How was that blizzard? Did we end up getting that blizzard?
It was both awful and really manageable.
Yes, exactly.
But stuff we can talk about that has sort of happened are obviously every Wednesday night for Mungus and myself, the Way of Life Live podcast. We've been doing that, obviously. And our Dead Entertainment live commentaries.
You know, we just hit our 20th episode at the date of this recording. Out of everything we've done so far, we did 16 of one podcast and 4 of another. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we're just plowing along on this shit right now.
And who would have thought? You know, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to start making movies, and I was like, you know what? Let's do some broadcasting for fun, just for the hell of it. And it was mostly inspired by your game streaming. And we dove into it, and here we are, mid-February, and 20 podcasts deep of us rambling for 2+ hours at a clip. I don't know whether to feel bad for our listeners or be very humble and appreciated.
No, they love it. I know they do.
They're certainly gluttons for punishment.
Which is why they love it.
I know Chris Harris is. Our buddy Chris Harris. He fucking really loves our shit.
Hey, Tom, what have you been up to?
I've been up to a whole myriad of things, Anthony. I started making my own pepper spray at home because, the mean streets of North Newark, New Jersey by the tennis courts near the hospital, that's really, the roughest area of town. Those are where the really bad eggs are.
Excuse me.
No, that was my phone. I have the NHL app. I guess the Bruins scored or something. So, God, I swear to God, I hope one of these days,
you can't plan this stuff, people. You can't plan it.
And I can't edit that
out. All right. Basically, these 3 things: being metal as fuck, being protective of my, the small amount of stuff that I own in my apartment as fuck. And, basically, that's, me as fuck. How about you, Ant?
Well, fuck.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fucking going on over there.
I'm glad I'm on the other side of this table.
There's a reason why there's the as fuck you 3 people listening to this goddamn thing. We'll get to that later.
We love you guys.
Yeah, you, go.
Well, I'm gearing up for a lot of shows coming up. I'm really excited, and it's really a broad spectrum of different musical styles. Everyone from Electric Light Orchestra later in the year, Doyle from the Misfits next week. Ray and I are actually really excited to be going to see the Misfits in May. We have awesome seats, and
that's confirmed.
It can't.
Are you even sprinkling a little bit of information? You're all ominously telling me, keep the date open. Just be free that day.
Yeah, I mean...
So it's happening.
If we have to push our way through security, we will see the show.
I'll do it old school, man. I'll you grab onto my back and I'm just going to barrel through motherfuckers.
That's it. Tom and I have Judas Priest and Saxon in a little while.
Mm-hmm. There's also another band before them. I think Black Veil Brides or something. Black Star Riders. It's Black
Star Riders, yeah.
Yeah, okay, Black Star Riders, because I don't want to get the 2 bands confused. Yeah.
And we'll be talking about Judas Priest later in the show, but mostly it's just my usual thing, going to lots of concerts, and you'll hear about it here.
Yeah, and me basically prepping for the end of the world, which will be happening outside my building, because that's where all the mutants and other people seem to congregate most often in the night.
Like the Chuds?
If you want to say the Chuds, if that helps you.
I wish we had a copy of the Bud the Chud song. Yeah, that'd be great to put right here. Cue Bud the Chud. If I can find it.
Yeah, the only thing worth hearing or watching in that movie.
Seriously. I have the import for that. My cousin got it for me for Christmas, simply for that song.
All right. So with that, we're going to start this episode the way we plan to start each episode, and that's by cracking open a cold one.
And while Matt opens up that bottle, I'm going to share with you all something that was mentioned on the last podcast, which is the 80s Sucks poem written by our fallen brother, Chris O'Brien.
You dug out that relic?
I dug it out. So here it is, short and sweet, and then we'll get on to the beer. Haiti Sucks by Chris O'Brien. I hate this band so fucking bad. Their very existence makes me mad. Horrid music like I have never heard. It was like the band was flipping me the bird. They wasted an hour of my time. I wonder if killing these shits would be a crime. Haiti sucks. You have been warned. Go at your own risk. Prepare to be bored. That's it.
Anybody else get like a Mr. Deeds vibe? You know,
when
he does his Christmas or holiday card.
He does just cards.
Yes, that's right.
Like Hallmark cards.
Except that one's metal, pretty metal.
Yeah, and it's so eloquent too. I mean, throw out your Henry David Thoreau books, kids. There you go.
He's a regular Robert Frost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, except he's not from New England, writing about the shit Robert Frost wrote about. This one takes more of a H.P. Lovecraftian tone to it. The only thing missing is Cthulhu and a whole bunch of other stuff from.
I mean, there's Hades in there, so it's borderlines on that fantasy. Kind of mythos.
That's why I kind of threw the Lovecraft thing in there because it seems like something he would write about in one of his books.
Well, there's a reason why the band isn't around anymore. But until then, Matt, what do you have to say about this beer?
All right, so this week's beer of choice is a special beer that I picked up for us. It's called Voodoo Ranger Red Ipa. It's a special released beer from the New Belgium brewery, one of my favorite breweries, if not my favorite brewery. It's obviously a red IPA style beer with an alcohol percentage of 8%.
All right.
So it's not a pansy beer, that's for sure.
Not at all. So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, man. I absolutely love this beer. I bought like 5 of these tall boys.
Does it only come in the tall boy?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's another smashed pumpkin again.
Right. What was that thing you said last episode when we toasted our beer? Something about hitting the lips?
Oh, it's so good when it hits the lips.
There it is.
Oh, man.
Gotta love old school.
Man, I'm going to go home and watch that one.
This beer is just... This is probably my 4th time actually drinking it. Because it only comes in these tall boys, and I can only find it at Costco. But it's such a crisp, clean flavor.
Yeah, for 8% alcohol, it has a very unique taste to it. Like, you don't really get that. I mean, you get the alcohol taste, but it doesn't ruin anything else.
Yeah, there's not that gag reflex where, it's just overpowering and you say to yourself, Jesus, what am I drinking here?
Yeah.
This goes down smooth. It's got a really nice color and, there's no aftertaste at all and it's good.
Yeah, the slight aftertaste that I'm picking up is just like, it's reminding me that I need another sip.
It's a nice hoppy aftertaste.
Yeah.
It's not tinny or metally.
No.
I don't even think that's a word, but...
It's a word. It's a word.
Oh, all right.
Another history lesson.
I guess. That would be an English lesson.
Yeah, that's vocabulary, children.
Yes. I went to New Jersey schools, pardon me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very easy beer to drink, even despite the fact that it's 8% and an IPA. I mean, a lot of IPAs can be very, very bitter.
Yeah, this is far from bitter. This is a really amazing taste.
Yeah, this one doesn't have the IBUs listed on the bottle, so I do not know what the IBU rating is. I could look it up, but I'm too lazy. But the Voodoo Ranger beers from New Belgium, they have quite a few of them. There's not a bad one that I've had, and I've probably had about 4 or 5 different of the Voodoo Rangers. And this is probably my favorite. I love red beers. Whether it's a red lager or a red IPA, one of my all-time favorite beers before they fucked with the formula was Killian's Irish Red.
That was a good beer.
Oh, yeah. When they changed that label, they changed a heck of a lot more, and it just was not the same.
That was a staple, and like every time we got together to party, we always had to have some Killian's there. And then there was just one time somebody brought it, and
yeah, it just didn't taste right.
You probably still have that pack in your cooler downstairs somewhere.
It was heartbreaking to get rid of it because it's like you said, it was such a staple, and it was a great beer, and it was cheap. And it was changed and not for the best of things.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they did with that formula, but they fucking ruined it. And now I gotta find my red beer intake somewhere else.
Because this is certainly a...
This is good, but Costco already stopped carrying it. They fucking change out their tall boy selections every 2 weeks.
Any other places you could get it at?
I've never seen it anywhere else.
Damn it.
Fucking...
So this is going to be a relic worth cherishing.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to have to hunt for it in the liquor stores.
I hate that. That drives me crazy.
It could be worse. Yeah.
It could not exist. But
Well, not even that. I mean, it exists. I mean, that's enough. But, it could be terrible and exist. As opposed to just not bad and existing.
Yeah, I get you.
And I'm going to say for our listeners out there, if you run into this beer, give it a try. And, follow us on Tap, too. We've got Bates, we've got Randy Flagg, and myself under the handle Tony Luke. So, look for some beer feedback on that, too, on one of our other forums. Not paramount to this one, of course. But, like I said, if you find it in your travels, check it out because it is a good beer.
Nice plug. I love the Untapped app. It's great to discover beer. And we're not even being paid by them. We don't have a sponsorship. We should have a sponsorship by them with all the beer that we're going to be drinking on this show. But, no, it's a great app to find new flavors and different types, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that would be a great sponsorship, but I still am waiting for your call Yankee Candle.
What was the one that I wanted last week? Oh, I changed my allegiance to Yankee Candle. I don't recall. You know what? I want all their money. So whoever it is,
Well, the last time it was Budweiser.
Oh yeah, well I mean,
Budweiser was the
Yeah, well I mean, when you have a special recipe storing in your basement for 80-something fucking years, it's just not good. I don't care who you are.
All right, so final verdicts on New Belgium's Voodoo Ranger Red IPA special release. Me personally, I've had this beer plenty of times before. It is quickly becoming one of my favorite IPAs. I love IPAs. I used to hate them, but my boss made me drink them, and now I love them. Go figure. Personally, this one, it's got everything that I look for in a really good IPA. It's not my favorite IPA, but it is definitely within my top 3. This is easily a 9 out of 10 for me. Mungus?
Yeah, I'm going to echo that 9. Again, I wasn't a big fan of IPAs either, and my buddy kept bugging me to drink IPAs and keep giving them a shot. You're going to find the one that you eventually like. At that time, I thought they all pretty much tasted like Windex, or what I think Windex tastes like. But it turns out it was just the Magic Hat version of the IPA. But getting back to the Voodoo Ranger Red IPA, solid 9, very standout, and easily in my top 5. I mean, I can't really name the others offhand without pulling out my Untapped app. But it's solid. Tom?
Wow, you guys are being extremely generous, might I add, with your scores of 9.
Wow,
I'm not an IPA guy. Okay, I'm a lager guy. All right, I like my Millers. I like stuff that's some stuff that's not Miller, but not Budweiser, because Budweiser sucks. Everything they do sucks, except that commercial for the Super Bowl with the Bud Night, which I particularly found hilarious. It's probably like the only time they made me laugh since Bud Bowl 8. All right, which is going back way, way, way too long. But I think Matt and Ray are being extremely generous on this. Like I said, I'm not an IPA guy. If you like IPAs, you'll give this a much higher rating than I'm going to give it. I'm giving it a 6.
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
It's not. Let's put it like this. But bear in mind, you have to also enjoy it too. I mean, you have to enjoy the IPA. You have to enjoy IPA beers. A lot of hops in it. A lot of alcohol content in it. Me, just give me, cheap Miller stuff and I'll be fine. But, this is, this isn't for me, so I give it a 6.
Dilly, Tom, I give it a 9.
Oh.
Back to you, Matt.
Just mic dropped over there.
Dilly.
Dilly, Tom.
Off to the chamber of torture, you bastard.
They really tried. They pushed all those commercials to make Dilly a thing, and we're just making that more more of a reality. I don't like it.
I'm not making it a fucking reality. I never said dilly dilly to anybody in my life.
I feel guilty that I'm part of the problem.
You know what?
As
he had the comment about the Super Bowl, so I had to throw it in there. It was only
shit.
No, I understand that, but I mean, let's put it like this, man. They didn't do any of the dilly dilly shit during the Super Bowl commercial. They just had some dude in blue armor.
Well, I'm probably one of two people that didn't watch the Super Bowl, and
trust me, I
don't think any of us really.
I didn't watch it either. I saw the commercial on YouTube a day or two later, and they've been replaying it on TV ever since.
Of course they have.
Yeah. I'm gonna take this from people who I gotta watch I watch nothing but Netflix. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Anthony doesn't have any time to watch TV, so I'm surprised he knows anything that's going on as far as that goes. Ray's off in his own little world, which
that's accurate.
With him and Matt doing the way of life, horror shit, the horror podcast, the horror show, if you want to call it that. Which is what I'm calling it now, the horror show.
The horror show.
Yeah.
Is that a good horror show or a bad horror show? Like, are we a train wreck or is it just a horror themed show?
It varies from station to station. Yeah. But, like I said, I don't like Budweiser. I never will. So, the only thing they can do is entertain me visually. That's about as far as it goes with them. And I felt the Bud Knight did that. With the armor and the deep voice, like the Crusader voice, who dares to battle a Saracen, and Crusader, yeah. Oh, by the way, there's also going to be a lot of bad impromptu singing, possibly at some point. So
we're becoming a barbershop metal quartet.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing missing is the queer clothing and hand clapping. Which I don't even know if they do that in barbershop.
All right then.
Hey guys.
Anyway, I don't know how the hell we're going to transition into that, but that's the magic of editing.
Good luck.
Moving into general hostility.
We're pissed.
Where basically we're discussing a topic that angers us.
Just something that rubs us the wrong way, and gets our blood pressure going.
Yeah, just throw it out there so we can destroy it with baseball bats and everything else. Yeah.
And since this is kind of its own little segment, I'm going to preemptively thank Hyrax for not allowing us to use their song, because I'm using it anyway, Hostile Territory, for the bumper leading into this.
Did we get flagged for that one?
No, we didn't get flagged for any of those.
Okay, good. We got flagged for
fucking combat.
Who gave their express,
but it wasn't the band. It was their record label
and YouTube's shitty algorithm.
So Hyrax themselves said no, don't use the song.
No. I'm just saying, fucking. Do you honestly think Katen would really get mad at us for using a 15-second clip of?
No, that's why I was surprised. I had to ask.
Yeah, if he did, he's going to be a topic of general hostility in the future. No, we have words.
I don't think that would ever. I met the dude. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Record companies don't look that way. They don't share similar views, and that's exactly what happened with Combat. They noted the record company's algorithm. It triggered, and they're like, "Hey, we're getting paid for this, motherfucker."
Yeah, I don't know, about the guy from One Guy in Queen's studio albums, wherever the fuck Combat is signed to. But that person can go fuck off and die in a sewer. All right.
Excellent. What was the name of that Hyrax song?
Hostile Territory. That is the bumper for our general hostility segment. And Hyrax also does, I stole, the bumper for our metal segment, Lucifer's Inferno.
The view and opinion stated on this podcast by our main host, Bates, are not necessarily reflected of the rest of us.
Hyrax fucking rules!
Yes!
Alright, so this week's general hostility topic is the Manson Meltdown.
I know it's not quite metal, but it has to do with
Manson is metal. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I guess, metalheads get weird about lumping him in with the rest of their stuff. I already see LR over here squirming in his seat. He's like, don't say metal.
You know what? Chris would just say, "Fuck that!" And you know it. Like, I could hear it in my head. And right after that comment, "Fuck that!"
Yeah, well, you know what? If Manowar is considered metal, then fucking Manson is considered metal.
And then he would say, "Fuck Manowar too."
Yeah, don't compare Manson to Manowar. That's
don't insult Manson.
I'm just saying, all right.
At least Marilyn Manson isn't coming out with a +5 Holy Avenger. And if you get that reference, yes, you are one of the biggest nerds in the universe.
And we love you because, nerds love our shit.
Yes.
We want nerds to love our shit.
Yes.
So, basically, if you hadn't heard, Marilyn Manson had a show in New York, I believe.
Yeah, it was in New York. I don't remember which town, but it was supposedly like a makeup date for when that big gun cross stage prop fell on him. I don't think it was the exact location, but on this story, he was coming back to, make it right and, I guess put on the show that he never got to put on because he was rushed to the hospital. And they didn't quite get that, did they?
Apparently not. I'm not gonna lie, I only heard about this a little while ago, before we started recording this episode, but apparently he came on stage and was, he pulled like an Ozzy from like the 70s, where he just came out on stage and was all fucked up.
Yeah, I seen some of the video and I skipped around, but he was pretty obliterated, like slurring his speech. He was definitely fucked up on something, and he started on this weird tangent mid-song where he kind of like showed his appreciation to the fans and was like, I love you guys for coming out, and this is, it's fucking awesome. And that was the moment where the fans were so supportive, are supposed to reciprocate. They're supposed to, cheer him on and stuff. And he wasn't satisfied with the crowd reaction. And he kept stalling and rambling about whether people loved him as much as he loved them. And he continued to try to play songs, and it was a mess.
And then he was demanding that they say, "I love you," and went into the whole rant. When I say I love you, you should say I love you too. #me, #me too.
Yeah.
And no matter what the audience said, I mean, collectively you just hear
they
a bunch.
Tried.
You just hear a bunch of yelling because it's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good enough for him. He was definitely on something, and that just concluded the show.
Yeah. He I don't know what he hoped to achieve there. Maybe he just wasn't into playing that night, and he was there was theories going around that, like, there's a certain amount of time you have to be on stage to get paid for them to not, demand a refund. And it seemed like he might have went out there, didn't get that crowd, wasn't getting the thing to feed off of from the crowd, and he decided he's gonna just fucking half-ass it in a big, stupid, drunken stupor.
Fuck that. Listen.
I agree.
On the flip side, you and I, in fact, everyone in this room has been to shows where it's an internationally touring band, and there have been just us in the room, in the bar, and they've put on a hell of a show.
No,
and I'm
literally just us. I think like 5 people.
3 inches of blood comes to mind off the top of my head.
Yep.
At the Brighton Bar.
No, that was in, what's the place?
It was Asbury Park.
Yeah.
So,
The Saint?
The Saint, thank you.
Right.
So, was that the Saint?
Isn't the Stone Pony over there, too?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like down the road from the Stone Pony.
That's the only one I know in Asbury Park.
Remember I was underage. I had to email the proprietor to make sure that I could get into a 21 and older show. And
you had to do that for
fucking old.
You had to do that for dingbats, too. But besides the point, they were on tour from Canada, and, they were playing to some very nicely filled rooms.
Yeah.
They got to Asbury Park. It was just us.
Yeah,
literally.
we had just saw them like the night before at CBGB's.
Yeah, and they went full fucking throttle, and
it wasn't even a shortened set. This was like a full-on 3 inches of blood show for literally a handful of people.
Yep.
And then they hung out with us at the bar.
Yes.
Like we bought them some drinks, they bought us some drinks. Like we had a good time, like after the fact. And they're like, Whether it's a handful of people or a full house, we're going to play the way it's supposed to be. And it shows that integrity. And you know what? Like, frankly, I think Manson's just bored with touring. And that's why he does all these fucking drugs and he does all these dumb antics. I think he's lost his vibe. And this is weird coming from somebody who just praised him on the tour that Bates and I went to a couple years ago. Yeah, we seen him in New Jersey, and we're like, wow, we're glad he quit the drugs because he put on one of the best shows that I've me personally have seen in like 10 years.
See, and with that said, this is coming from me, someone who never liked him, never bothered with him. Between your high recommendation and Matt gifting to me one of his albums, I started to consider the idea of going to a show. And, there was the possibility of seeing him at the Starland here in New Jersey, which happened to be, I believe, last night.
Right. And I heard it was an incredible show.
And it was the flip side of the coin. It was absolutely incredible. Everything that he didn't do in New York the night before, he just dominated the stage in New Jersey and gave 100%. Yeah. So That's the artist, that's the musician, that's the band that you look to see. Yeah. And touring is tiring and it takes its toll physically, mentally, maybe even emotionally. But you know what? For me personally, he's been in the business long enough where he should know how to deal with these things.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, let's put this. This isn't like a guy who just came out of like nowhere and gained, massive popularity literally overnight. No, this guy has been doing performances for well over 2 decades. Almost 25 years. If you go back to,
I think he came out in '89, and I think his biggest success was Antichrist Superstar in 1996. And he's dealt with concerts that were fucking crazier and more massive. He's toured overseas, Brazil, Europe. He's been on these giant festivals, so he knows. He knows a thing or two about the business and what's expected of him from fans.
Exactly. I mean, you do this for a certain period of time. Guess what you learn how to do? You learn how to become what's known as a professional. Yeah, you know what a fucking professional does? A fucking professional goes out there, whether it's one person or 100,000 people, and they play every goddamn show like there's 100,000 people out there, not fucked up on drugs, not fucked up on whatever. And if he throws out an "I love you," he doesn't get an "I love you" back. What does he do? He gets mad and walks the fuck off the stage? Fuck that noise. Nobody has to fucking love this guy, okay? All they have to do is fucking pay him. He's making a pretty good fucking money, making pretty good fucking money off of people who go buy his albums, buy his t-shirts, buy any other form of crap he throws out there. And this is a weird fucking guy. I think he threw out like vials of blood or some shit like that out there for sale one time. Trust me, this guy's trying to be like David Bowie was in the 70s. I never bought it. I still don't buy it. But this is the thing, okay? The difference between him and David Bowie is dead. David Bowie is dead. Okay, you know what? I'd pay to go see David Bowie. I'd pay to go see his corpse than go see Marilyn Manson in concert. All right, at least the corpse I might get some fucking entertainment out of.
I'd like to offer one more angle on this, and then that'll be it on my end. Commenting on this, there is the in my opinion, slim possibility that he did this for the sheer idea of attention. To get himself in headlines, get a buzz, get people talking, and then
maybe sell more tickets on the rest of the road. And what better place to do it than where he last made headlines when he got injured?
Right.
So, I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very manipulative, and I feel bad for the fans that paid money for him. I didn't go see him in New Jersey because the price. I think the tickets for the show were like upwards to $80, and I paid that. I paid more to see him previously. I've been a fan since early 1996. I've been like a diehard Manson fan. And, even I can't sit there and fault Tom with what he's saying. Like, I have to agree with almost everything that you're saying on that. You gotta be a professional. Headlines or not, if that turns out to be the case. Drugs and alcohol are not. It's not the way you treat the fans. The fans told you they loved you by shelling out $80 plus fees to come see you, and gas money and parking passes, and VIP tickets. I heard he was a complete fucking mess during the VIP meet and greets too. So You know, like, if that's how you're going to treat your fans that have been supporting you for as long as, like, I have or longer, you know, fuck you. Like,
yeah, exactly. You don't deserve any fucking fans. You're going to treat them like garbage. Yeah, the most important thing that I remember, and this is Ozzy saying this, is it's not a privilege for them to see me. It's a privilege for me to see them.
Absolutely.
All right? And when he's talking about the audience and performing live, all right? That's the way I feel every performer should feel. Because honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't need to go see you. I have the fucking albums. I got I got the t-shirts. I don't have to give you any fucking money. I don't have to put your fucking kids through college. I don't have to buy you a new fucking car or any of that type of shit.
But we do
because we go for the experience. All right? And if you can't be a fucking professional and do what you're supposed to do, then you don't deserve a goddamn audience.
Yeah.
Now I'm done.
You can always sit at home and watch them on TV. But speaking of TV, isn't there something coming soon in the horror news, Matt?
You know, I didn't even get to fucking comment on that.
Exactly. By all means, Bates.
Real quick, as a longtime Marilyn Manson fan.
What a jerk, man.
And a lifelong fucking metal fan, I am okay with these little outbursts and fucking drunken, drug-induced stupors from artists who have put in their time and effort. Now, I'm not saying this is the kind of shit I respect or, you know, condone, especially for fans who paid for this shit and got obviously what these people got the other night. But it's part of the lifestyle when you are a rock star. And I've seen Manson at least a dozen times, if not more, and Manson still puts on the best live show I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of bands, and I've seen a lot of shows in my 31 years on this planet. So if Manson wants to fucking get drunk and, you know, fucking whack a couple lines before a show one night and completely ruin the show, you know what? I say he's fucking entitled to it. Ozzy was doing that shit for years, and you know what? He survived. You know, fans might have been pissed, but they got over it. It's an experience, you know? It's something you can fucking say you were at, you know? 10 years from now, if you were one of those fans in the audience at that New York show, you can say, dude, I remember that fucking Manson show. I was there. He got through like 4 songs. He was so fucked up. He couldn't even finish. I was there. That's a fucking story to tell, you know? And a lot of metal fans don't get those kind of stories. I have 1 or 2 of those, you know, super special, unique events that I went to that never happened anywhere else. I mean, I saw an Ozfest where Black Sabbath was playing, but Ozzy was sick. He couldn't fucking sing that night. And they got fucking Rob Halford to come out and do an entire Black Sabbath set. I'm not mad that I didn't get to see Ozzy that night. I got to see Black Sabbath with fucking Rob Halford. That's a story.
That's awesome.
It's a story. So yes, you know, maybe they feel cheated because they spent their money and didn't get what they paid for. But again, they're getting a story. They're getting a fucking memory that they will remember more than that particular show had he not been drunk or high or whatever and actually did the show as normal. So just keep that in mind. They might be mad, but they're getting a better story out of it for the fact.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying $80 for a fucking story. If I want $80 for a story, I'll order stuff off like BarnesandNoble.com. All right?
You got a few stories with that money.
Yeah, exactly. I can get many, many stories. Do anything.
I hear you, man.
Story.
He missed the point, but my point still stands. I've been in that situation a few times, and it sucks, but again, I have the stories and the memories, and I think that's really cool. And that's what being a metalhead and a rock star and all that shit is all about. Alright, so moving on into this week's horror segment.
Would you like another segue, Matt?
I think you spent all your segues in.
For those of you who can't see, which is everyone listening, I'm getting a look of death.
Oh yeah, he's mad.
Mad, bro?
getting a stank eye right now.
Stankiest of stank.
So the horror segment, for those who don't know, don't remember, don't give a fuck, basically is just us talking horror. Doesn't necessarily have to be anything news related. It could just be a random topic that we decided, you know what, this sounds good. Let's just bullshit about this week. This episode, it actually happens to be somewhat news related. And that happens to be the Child's Play television series being announced. So basically what that is they're going from the last movie, Cult of Chucky, which I loved, and they are going to continue the series from there with a TV series. At first, I wasn't sure about it, but then I kind of understood why they're doing this. At this point in the Child's Play franchise, there's a lot of fucking little side stories going on with, Tiffany's character, or Tiffany/Jennifer Tilly's character, and now, this is spoilers, so just fucking get over it. Chucky's is technically in Fiona's body, if you haven't seen Cult of Chucky, and then there's all these possessed Chucky dolls, and then you have Alex Vincent's storyline going on, plus Kyle's storyline going on.
You just blew the lid off of that movie, didn't you?
Oh, I said fucking spoilers, get over it.
Yep.
So, we got like 3 or 4 different storylines going on right now, and that's not something you can cover in one movie unless you're fucking Lord of the Rings. So, a TV series can really hone in on one storyline a week and run with it. Way better than a movie could ever tackle at this point. Now, this doesn't mean we're not going to get more movies, but right now they're going to focus on this TV series and possibly continue that in movies. And you know what? I think right now, with the way horror is, with the way horror TV is, I think this is going to blow up immensely. It just needs to find the right network to be on, just like Ash vs. Evil Dead, Bates Motel, Hannibal, all these great horror shows have found the right formats to be on, and it's working for them. The only thing is that this particular show needs to be rated R. It needs to be like Ash vs. Evil Dead, where there's no holds bar. You get your nudity if you want it, you get your violence, you get your gore, you get your cursing. That's what makes Chucky Chucky, and if the show doesn't have that, it's not going to succeed, but I have a lot of faith in the creators of this show, in these characters, in the story and franchise, that they're going to do right by the fans, and we're going to get the rated R TV show that we deserve.
Bates, I agree, and I have to ask, from what you know, is there a release date yet?
No, I think I don't even know if they're done with casting yet. I doubt they have more than 1 or 2 scripts completed. But as far as we know, it is greenlit, and it is going to happen. We just don't know when or where it's going to happen.
So, for Bates and Mungus here, as the stronger, knowledgeable members on this team of the horror genre, I'm curious to know from each of you, which version of Chucky do you like best? The classic one or the one that you'll see in Cult of Chucky?
That's tough.
Well,
he's evolved even in Cult and Curse as well.
Yeah, well, in Curse he sort of reverted back to his darker, more sinister suspense roots, like what you got in Part 1 and to a lesser extent Part 2. And that's the type of Chucky I love. In Cult, we got more of a, again, pseudo Part 2 and Part 3.
Borderline on the humor stuff. A lot of
it was
a lot of one-liners and back into it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wasn't quite full-blown Bride of Chucky, but it was getting very close to that, and I think Cult worked very well, especially as a continuation from Curse of Chucky. But from what we know is that the TV show is going to be very dark. Darker than any of the movies, apparently. So that is something to look forward to if you are a fan of Curse of Chucky, and original Child's Play Chucky.
And I'm sure you can expect to still catch all those one-liners and the humor that they throw into it. Because
I think they in Cult they found the middle ground for him to be. He went really dark in Curse, and then decided he was going to go a little bit along the lines of like sprinkling on the Bride of Chucky version, I guess. And with the new approach, I think we're going to see a more traditional Chucky. He's going to be probably significantly more bitter, after all these years of trying to achieve his goal. And it just gets to the point where, he's just like, fuck it, I've had enough of it. So I think he's going to be less patient and less having fun with what he does.
As a fan of the movie series, I'm pretty excited myself to see, how this evolves. And, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, definitely. Did you actually see Cult? Did you watch it?
I've seen them all, and it's why I brought those questions to the table, because I mean the TV series can kind of pick up where everything left off, and to my personal disappointment, it could change it again. Yeah. And not that change is bad, but if the change doesn't carry the roots of the movie and pick up a piece of where it left off, then they're essentially recreating the whole thing, and that's not what I want to see. I'm not sure that's not what the fans want to see.
But let me cut in on there and say that Bates actually is in the process of writing an article for our site, Dead Entertainment, that kind of touches a little bit on that. Child's Play and the Chucky universe has been known for change all throughout its entire long length of existing. And it's also known for reinvention. And I think that's why it stood the test of time as long as it did, because it was trying different things. It was not trying to do the exact same thing over and over again, but try something a little bit different. Part 1 to 3 were a little more by the books, but then they took it and flipped it on its head with Bride of Chucky. So that was interesting, and it's not only has changed significantly over the course of time, but also it reinvented things continuously. And it's really interesting to see that that's how they're keeping the fresh air in its lungs.
And I want to say that when they keep all these things in mind and the show follows these things, I often wonder what new characters could they possibly incorporate in this TV series, because that's bound to happen.
Or old characters too. They've been throwing back to plenty of the characters that appeared in parts 1 and 2. And bringing them back into the story. And I think that's exciting, too. Just like seeing Alex Vincent appear at the end of Curse of Chucky is fantastic. Yes. It's like, I never expected to see him ever again in a Child's Play movie. And there he was to become, front and center in the story.
With all these things developing in the Child's Play series, I'm sure we'll see actors and actresses popping up in Monster Mania. And I think that if that happens, and I have a hunch it will, I don't know anything, but I just have a hunch it will, our listeners, you'll all hear about, our experiences at the con. And of course, you're encouraged to go. MonsterMania.net is the website. And, usually these people will have a discussion panel. And that's where you and the audience have the opportunity to ask a question. And I'm sure the questions are already being formed and thought of. So, it's a very exciting and interesting time for Child's Play. And if these appearances do come true, and you see them at the cons locally, attend the con.
Yeah, they're no strangers to Monster Mania. Brad Dourif was on a panel before, as was Alex Vincent, and. If I'm going to put it out there that if you have a chance to go and listen to Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky, you should know that. If you have a chance to go out there and see him speak, in any capacity, even if he's at some local bookstore, rambling out front of the store, begging for change, listen to him talk. Not that he is, but seriously, he puts on one of the most fascinating panels, and the art that he puts into just voicing a doll, the mentality and the psychological breakdown that he analyzes in order to perform this character it blows your mind with the amount of work that he puts in. It's an experience.
Thanks, Magus. Yeah, certainly more to come on that front.
So speaking of conventions, moving on, Instead of the kill of the week, we're going to be continuing a segment we debuted on Way of Life Live called the Convention Crypt.
Go on, take your shot. Take your shot.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Tales from the Crypt.
No, not quite.
He was busting my balls for ripping off the movie Crypt, Adam Green and Joe Lynch's podcast, which you should also fucking go listen to.
Oh, and by the way, no copyright infringement intended there.
Wow, by the way, man, that was fucking horrible. What the hell were you trying to do there?
That was...
Well, I left out the preceding laughter, but, you know.
No, I don't mind about the laughter. I mean,
all right.
You know.
Let's do it really quick. Let's deviate. Let's do a Crypt Keeper off. Let's
if you
him.
want me to,
I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Okay. Foot and mouth.
Listen, boils and ghouls. I don't need to tell anybody here that he is not doing the voice right, and I'm not doing the voice right either.
Who is that?
I don't know.
No, it reminds me of somebody. It's gonna drive me nuts.
I heard it on TV when I was like a kid. It's just one of those things that happens. Yeah.
Wrong you are, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. It was like a Yoda fucking has a love child with Cobra Commander.
Oh, I know who it's.
That's it, you fool!
It was like Mark Hamill's Joker with Cobra Commander.
I could hear that.
Yeah. Mark Hamill has a little bit of that in his voice when he does the Joker.
Yeah.
So, Bates, what do we have in store with this?
So, on this tonight's Convention Crypt, obviously we're going to talk about two memories that we have had from past conventions that we have been to. We have all been to many, many conventions here, so we have lots of memories, some good, some bad, some indifferent. And since we've been doing this on the Way of Life Live podcast every week, we're going to let LR go ahead and talk about one of his favorite room memories from a past convention.
Well, I came down to Monster Mania after working a double shift, and when I arrived and got settled into the room, I passed out on my bed and just fell asleep. And the joining room was where the rest of the gang was, and of course there was that magical door that you can open between the rooms and go back and forth. So my travel companion unlocked our side of the door, and in walks Chris. I'm sound asleep, and he quoted a line from the 40-Year-Old Virgin and yelled in my ear while I'm in dead asleep, "No, Anthony, I don't want your big box of porn!" Of course, that woke me up, and I nearly hit the ceiling and didn't know where I was. I was disoriented and didn't hear the end of it for a very long time.
You're forgetting one huge important detail here.
Please, do tell.
I mean, aside from the fact that we were completely plastered enjoying the 40-Year-Old Virgin in the other room, you were the saltiest fuck ever for like the entire weekend after that. I haven't seen you that bad in a very long time, and it was just because he scared the living shit out of you, but man, oh man, you were like unapproachable that weekend after that.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you're not the first victim of this. All right. Way back in the old days, when me, Chris, and my family ended up moving to Bloomfield, New Jersey. You know, which is literally a stone's throw away from Newark, New Jersey. It was the summer of 1988, and Guns N' Roses was really popular. That song "Sweet Child O' Mine" was really popular. They had the video and everything else. All right, so I'm asleep on the couch, and Chris decides to spike the volume all the way up as Slash starts playing the guitar in the song, and so I jump out. I literally jump about 6 feet off the couch. I mean, this is like Olympic style shit that that was going on here, and I never let him live it down. Every time I hear "Sweet Child O' Mine," if I was at home and I heard it. Chris would come home, I'd punch him right in the balls.
Nice brotherly love.
Much like I did when I was 10 years old, except it wasn't, you didn't have balls yet, so, I didn't really feel anything.
Well, anyways, to go back on what Bates was saying before, whether the experience is a negative one or a positive one, in this type of example, back then it made me a little bitter, and I appreciate it because I have a story. I have an experience. Definitely. And I laugh at it now.
They were the years that we basically like bullied you a little bit to toughen you up.
A little bit?
A teeny bit.
Wow, that's
I got pictures.
That is a vast underestimation of that, man.
Are you bitter? Let me ask you: are you bitter that the new guy, aka me, to the gang, was a bully to you?
No, in fact, there's so much material that we can go over in future episodes. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. Worry. But to respond to that, I'll just say that when Mungus and I first met, we were working in the same company together, and our first interaction was an odd one.
Yeah, was it the assault?
It was the assault. And he kind of bumped into me, and I said, watch where you're going. I was just having a bad day. He's like, whoa, what are you going to do about it? Whatever. I'm like, I'm going to stab you with a pencil. And he just looked at me. He's like, all right, man.
Wait, that happened differently.
Oh, well then
I stabbed you with the pen.
I don't know. I know there was something with stabbing and a pencil, and there was some friction.
Are we out of like the statute of limitations where you could press charges? You know, like are we out of that? Because I don't want to speak on this.
We're definitely out of that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we're like, man, it's all cool, and we became friends, and that was that. But like I said, not to let the cat out of the bag. There's going to be tons.
Like, as you could see right now, we're very good at rambling about past stories, and the fact that senility is setting in. I'll start telling Anthony's story. Anthony will tell a story backwards, and I don't know. Just send us some like anti-Alzheimer's medicines, please.
Yeah. We don't want to take up
Candle. I want some of that.
We don't want to take up the rest of the podcast, so we'll save that for another time.
Well, let's discuss one of our favorite show floor memories.
Oh, that has to be Angus Scrimm. And it comes in the form of not only meeting him, who plays the character Tall Man from the Phantasm movie series, but also running into him at the Monster Mania conventions, which Mungus is going to go into a little bit, go into detail about in a little bit. I'll say that when I met him, it was in 2005, and he just kind of maintained the tall man persona and was very quiet and mysterious, but also down to earth and answered my questions, was super cool, had me sit down next to him instead of leaning over the table, and just kind of was like, all right, come chill with me. And I was asking him about the next Phantasm movie and when is it coming out, and it was in the works, but nothing yet. And fast forward to a few years ago when Phantasm Ravager came out. And when that came out, a big part of me was smiling and was just, of course, so happy.
It was almost surreal when it came out because, you sit there and go to these conventions and you ask these actors, are they ever going to appear in another one of those movies? And they're like, yeah, sure, kid. I hope so. Hollywood's knocking on my door every single day. And a lot of these people, they live off of conventions these days.
Yeah, they yes you to death.
Yeah, and they don't mean it disrespectful. They just have to answer this question 685 times. And Hollywood executives might not be calling them nearly as much as they did in the 80s. But in Angus Scrimm's case, he wasn't lying. There was a Phantasm movie down the road. And when it was announced that it was coming, but on top of that, it was already shot and ready to go. So from a Phantasm fan perspective, and just a fan of like the past stars, you couldn't help but get overly excited.
He was just so humble. And thinking about Phantasm, for those who are familiar with it, the spear. A fun little piece of information I like to share about the spear is that, two things. First, my vet's assistant has the spear tattoo on his neck. And I thought that's so cool,
It's always cool to run into people that are like, oh, you too?
Yeah, right in town, too. So, that was the premises of our conversation. Cool dude. But the spear was also a limited edition release of all the Phantasm movies. I forget the format. I think it's PAL.
Yeah, it was an overseas release, I believe.
Right. And it was actually Chris who got me into the Phantasm series and pointed me in the direction of this Spear box set. So all these things kind of tied in together when meeting Angus Scrimm, and it was an awesome experience, and I have him to thank for knowing about the movie and wanting to meet this guy. Mungus, please share with our listeners your experiences throughout the con.
Mine were a little bit different. I was extremely excited to meet him, and when I found out that he was going to be at the convention, it was kind of like he was my do or die meet that weekend. That was the first person that I ran up to, and I pretty much echo everything LR's saying over here about him being humble, being quiet, a little mysterious. Just it wasn't out of like he didn't want to meet anybody. It just he was very very conservative type of person. Just very mellow, very relaxed, and happy to speak with you for a while. That wasn't the special part of the weekend. I thought it was going to be. Once I met him, got him to autograph my DVD cover and everything. Special part was literally having Angus Scrimm pop up in the weirdest of places all weekend. And if you've ever had the pleasure to be at a convention with Angus Scrimm or actually hear about people's convention experiences, you'll find out that he's a wanderer. His past promoters used to call him a wanderer, and it was true. Now, I'm going to set up the picture for you really quick. You just finished shopping in the vendor room. You get some autographs, you got some toys, stuff that you didn't really need to buy, but you did. And you got to go back to the room to drop it off so you could go buy some more stuff or watch a panel. Now, you're waiting for an elevator. You're the only person in that little corridor where the elevators are. And the doors open, and there's a soul shadowy figure standing right in the middle of the elevator. And it's Angus Scrimm. Fucking tall man.
So how was he standing?
Just like he's an older man. He was older back when he shot the movie. So he was probably, in his 70s or 80s by the time I met him. And he had a little bit of a hunchback to him, not like a Quasimodo, but he was definitely traditional tall man standing there. Like, he was well dressed, not quite the funeral parlor suit, but definitely tall man in the elevator. And that wasn't the last place that I've seen him. Like, it was almost like he was being the tall man at the convention, where you'd come around the corner out of a panel and he just happened to be there. And all you're missing is that soundtrack where the music crescendos a little bit, because you come turn the corner and there's tall man. So I'm sure many people that have been in the conventions that he's been at, they've experienced similar situations, but that's, again, we're talking stories here. That's the ongoing theme of the podcast, it seems. It was great to shake the man's hand and get his autograph, and I'm happy to have met him before he passed. But the random tall man appearances throughout the weekend, that's something I won't ever forget.
When those elevator doors opened and he was standing there, I think it would have been the icing on the cake if he just looked at you and went, "Boy!"
Seriously, and he didn't even think of it that way. It was just the fans, oh my god, you can't help but look at it and say, "Oh man, tall man's being creepy all weekend." He just wandered around, but it was special.
All right, guys, moving on into the metal segment of our show. So starting off this episode is going to be our heavy metal showcase. Each week we will be we're going to kind of bring to you some local, license-free, maybe.
Anything we're not going to get sued or slapped with, presumably slapped with on YouTube.
Some local bands.
Give me a taste of the New York, New Jersey area.
Yeah, there's a lot of... the local metal scene here is pretty vast, so we kind of want to get that out to other people who might be listening to this show. And this week we're going to be looking at a song called Pain of Reason by the band MARTYRD. Anthony, you want to go ahead and take this one?
Sure.
This is your area of expertise, so...
No, thank you, absolutely. So, MARTYRD is based out of Astoria, Queens, and they've been around since the early to mid 2000s. Funny story about Martyred is when I saw them for the first time, it was their vocalist's very first show with them at the Continental in New York City. Guy's name is Aaron, and he did such an amazing job. Martyred can be classified as your traditional thrash metal band. Just fast, heavy, big fans of Testament and old Metallica, Atrophy, Exodus, Creator. You think of your thrash metal bands, those were their influences. And Martyred put on a hell of a stage show and really built up a cult following, playing all over New York City, places like The Hook, CBGB's, Ace of Clubs or Spades, which doesn't even exist anymore. They've even played at Dingbats here in New Jersey, and Starland Ballroom opening up for Overkill. So they've had their share of touring. They've done a national tour and opened for larger acts. And they even did one of those cruises. I think it was the 70,000 tons of metal, if I remember correctly. So they've been out there. Put out a few demos, and their full-length, The Mortal Coil, has, just professional artwork. It's mastered very nicely. And the song you're going to hear is from that album. It's to be said that there's a camaraderie between all these bands from New York, where you'll find them touring together and doing shows together. And, when someone, say, can't make a show or is injured or whatnot, they interchange. And it's really something. It's really a strong scene in New York. And, Martyr just really embodies, hard work, dedication, and sheer talent. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to hear that a band with so much talent is right in the tri-state area. So, Martyred.
All right, and again, this is Pain of Reason by Martyred. Enjoy.
Never give in to the spoken
Alright guys, I hope you liked that song. Again, that was MARTYRD with Pain of Reason. If you like what you heard, be sure to check them out on their Facebook. That is facebook.com/martyred. That's MARTYRD. Make sure you like them, follow them, friend them, if you like what you heard. If you didn't like what you heard, well...
Friend them anyway. Fuck it. Buy their CD and give it to somebody that will.
Go on their site and make fun of them.
Sure, pick one of those. Alright guys, so moving into some more metal news. A very upsetting news, I guess, broke out not too long ago from the recording of this episode. Was that Judas Priest guitarist Glenn Tipton has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and is stepping down from touring with the band. Basically, he said in the article that he can still play a lot of the songs, but some of the more demanding songs that they're playing live, he just can't do it anymore. And he feels that because he can't play everything, that he feels like he can't give the fans, you know, as much as they deserve. So it would be better for him to step down and to have a more capable guitarist at this point come in and fill in for him. So he's giving his okay to have somebody else come in and play some of the songs that he has written and recorded over the years, you know, for the fans, so the fans can keep enjoying this music even without him. And in my opinion, I think that's awesome. You know, that's not every metal fan is going to say, you know, they agree with that. When KK Downing left the band a year or two ago, a lot of fans revolted. You know, it's like, how do you have Priest without KK? It's his band. You know, you can't do it. And you know what? They're carrying on quite well. The fans have kind of stepped back a little bit on the way they felt about that. And what's the new guy's name? Faulkner?
Yeah, Richie Faulkner.
He's a good guitarist, man. Fucking, you know what? You're gonna replace a guy like KK. You get a guy like, you know, Faulkner. He's doing his job very well. And they do have a replacement for Tipton. Who did they get?
Andy Sneap, a guitarist from a band named Hell that I've never heard. I've heard of them, but I never heard them. So I don't know exactly what this guy sounds like.
He's also the producer of the new album, so he's certainly not a stranger internally to the Judas Priest camp. And I'm sure with that experience, he'll bring some surprises to the table in the way of executing the songs properly and, you know, still giving all the Priest fans the stage show that they've come to expect all these years.
Yeah, and I think Tipton, like, handpicked him. I think that was his choice to replace him. So, you know, this guy has got Glenn's seal of approval. So, you know, take that going into seeing these live shows now. That, you know, you're getting somebody that Glenn handpicked.
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's play this. Why would he pick a shitty... Okay, well, it basically comes down to, why on God's green earth would you pick a shitty replacement? Yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah, if you know that, you know, for whatever reason, unfortunately in this case, due to a debilitating illness, you know, why wouldn't you pick somebody that you like, somebody that you trust, somebody that you have total faith in is going to be able to pull off the job? You know, so I'm not expecting a drop off from this guy on stage. You know, along with Richie Faulkner, who I missed out on the Redeemer of Souls tour due to medical problems. You know, and Faulkner's played on an album. He played on Redeemer of Souls, and you know, he's a good guitarist. So, you know, like I said, I don't think anybody in the Judas Priest camp would legitimately go out and pick a terrible player. You know, it's not like Glenn Tipton's going to be, you know, sitting at home mumbling, I picked the worst replacement of all time to replace me. No,
I think trust is the big thing, and
exactly, you know, and I myself, as a longtime Judas Priest fan, going back to, you know, Painkiller, would, you know, hope to God that, you know, this guy is capable of, you know, doing the job and doing it well, you know, as opposed to Marilyn Manson storming off the stage and acting like a fucking baby.
I'm kind of on the fence with this one, where I want to support the decision, and I am excited to, you know, hear and see what is brought to the table in the live show. And there's also hope in the way that Glenn Tipton did state that he would likely still be recording if Priest continues with new albums, but just he'll be taken out of the touring element, for those obvious reasons because of his ailment. Something that just has me thinking a lot is when you look at the lineup that you're so used to, and the lineup gets changed in the way of Richie replacing KK Downing. It personally took me a while to really accept that. And one of the big reasons behind that was not because I don't accept change, but because the main songwriting team of that band happens to be Rob Halford, Glenn Tipton, and KK Downing. So taking away part of that element obviously changes a big element of the band in the way of how they write songs and how they play the songs. Now you're taking away a second part of that element. So 1/3 of the main songwriting team is now remaining. And that's in the way of Rob Halford. I don't doubt his capabilities, and that would be silly, but throw in the other two, and that's the element that I've grown to know and love all these years. It's the element that has sustained that Judas Priest sound all these years. From first album to, what was it, Angel of Retribution?
Yeah, up to now, basically. Yeah.
Right. So, it's a tough aspect of change to accept, and my advice for the listeners out there that are also Judas Priest fans is to go into it with an open mind, catch them on tour, because you're not going to find Glenn Tipton there, nor will you find KK Downing, and see what the live show gives us. And if you're not disappointed, then see what the next album delivers, because it's only fair to give it a shot and not be closed-minded like I was when Redeemer of Souls came out. So that's what I have to say about it.
Well, at least you're getting one more album where Glenn Tipton was a part of it with Firepower.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very possible moving forward that on their next album, maybe in a year or two when they start writing it, that they bring Glenn in to help write it. Maybe not record it, but at least have writing credits on the album.
Exactly. At least write some of the music, some of the melodies. Yeah. Some of the music.
That's very, very possible within the next couple of years, depending on how progressive his Parkinson's is. Mm-hmm. If he has aggressive Parkinson's, maybe that's not a possibility. But if it's very, building up very slowly in him, you could see him write on another album. So,
exactly.
It's something to keep in mind.
This was diagnosed about a year ago, too.
Well, it depends. Well, it depends on how well he's able to fight it off. I mean, because some people have Parkinson. Some people are diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and unless they came out and told you they had Parkinson's disease, and you saw the symptoms of the disease slowly destroying them for yourself, you wouldn't believe it. And then on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, you got like the Michael J. Fox syndrome, where you get all spastic and you just don't. You don't look like yourself or anything like that. You don't act like yourself. Everything's really kind of screwed up. And, and I don't mean to, and I'm not ragging on anybody who has Parkinson's, disease. I do have a little bit of a soul. Not much of one, but a little bit. And, I wouldn't do that, to anybody with any type of terminal illness. It's just, that's just wrong. Not that I give a shit if it makes me look like an asshole or not. I'm just saying that it's just flat out wrong as a human being to another human being.
I think once he settles down and he's going to be at home with this, from the tour, which I assume he's not going to be on this tour.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be on the tour.
So, depending on his situation right this second, he could just as easily, pick up the guitar while he's watching whatever movies or whatever and just start tinkering around. He's going to have a little extra time than he normally does. And, I think it has complete potential for him to be at least involved down the road. Maybe handing off some of the stuff that he writes in its current day.
Yeah, I mean, the musical sense. It could be jumping onto the new one right now before the new ones even come out on March 9th. which will, it will be out by the time anybody hears this, so I'm telling you now, I don't care if you like it or not, go out and buy the album.
Yeah, so far everything I've heard off of it has been incredible,
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty top-notch album. I mean, I've only heard, I think, 2 songs from it so far, but I like what I've heard.
Exactly.
Easily a lot more than the last album. Well, no, that's not true. I did like Redeemer of Souls. I liked about half of that album.
Yeah, but this one, from the 2 songs that I've heard, it's shaping up to be a little bit better than Redeemer.
Well, it certainly isn't the end of Judas Priest, but I think it is the end for this podcast. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think it's about that time to wrap it up. So, thank you everybody again for tuning in to episode 3 of Metal Beer Horror. If you like what you heard, if this is your first episode, go back, listen to the first 2. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, the Way of Life Network.
And to keep up with announcements and anything else, follow us on Twitter at WayOfLifeNet. Also like us on Facebook at Facebook.com, Way of Life. And we all have various media, social media plugs.
Yeah, what's yours?
Mine is DoomMachine7784 at Twitter.com. And basically, I'm not really promoting anything for myself other than what might possibly come down the line, a website called Metal as Fuck, because I myself am metal as fuck. So,
There was
you
a lot of fucks earlier, so, there's no denying that.
Yes.
And as you can tell, Tom doesn't use very much social media because he put at twitter.com.
But you know what, though? His Twitter's worth following. It's very entertaining, and the shit that he says to Tim Tebow is hysterical.
Basically, because I hate Tim Tebow. He was a player for the Jets, and he helped my team lose during the season. I hate him almost as much as Brett Favre. All right? As far as I'm concerned, they'll both burn in hell, but for different reasons. Tim Tebow knows why.
Well, until that website comes out. In the meantime, for all your true and old school heavy metal needs, look no further than Unstoppable Force webzine. You can check us out at www.truemetal.org/unstoppableforce. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. You can just do a search and find us there. And remember, you can't kill heavy metal.
That site is metal as fuck.
I just want to put a disclaimer. If you're going to Google Unstoppable Force, be very careful. Just going to put that out there. Find Unstoppable Force through truemetal.org. I'll leave it at that.
Ooga.
Ooga.
Ooga. Ooga. Ooga.
As always, you can stay up to date on all the latest horror news and upcoming commentary events that Bates and I do on deadentertainment.com. We do a bunch of shit, involving podcasting and videos and all sorts of crazy stuff. We should have, by the time you listen to this, we should have made a whole lot of Monster Mania content that's coming your way on Way of Life Network as well as deadentertainment.com. So visit that website and make sure you check all of it out. I'm also on Twitter at Mungus.
We did actually have all that Monster Mania content. I can vouch that I fact checked. I just came back from my trip in the DeLorean, and it happened.
I really thought we lost all that footage in the blizzard.
No.
But when the volcano erupted, it worked out.
Well, make sure you guys check out the Way of Life Network YouTube channel every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, to hang out and listen with Mungus and I, sometimes Tom, sometimes LR, on the Way of Life live podcast. We do it every Wednesday night, whether we're ready and prepared for it or not. We still do it. So make sure you guys check that out. We always have a really good time. We are interactive with the chat, and it's a good time that we're bullshitting about horror news and geek and comic news as well. So please check that out. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday nights. You can also follow me on Twitter at Bates_MotelMT, and you can also follow Mungus at
Ray Mungus, what I said before, but...
Well, I'm just trying to hammer that shit home. Fine, fuck you. Don't follow him, just follow me, alright?
Just follow Bates.
You don't need Mungus. All you need is Master Bates over here.
He doesn't want the fucking plugs at this point.
I appreciate it. I don't want redundancy. That's what I don't want.
Make sure you also check out the horror website that we write for, deadentertainment.com. You can find all kinds of news. Not typically for me. I only write a couple news articles every once in a while.
Slacking ass motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Look who's talking.
Look who's talking.
Slack ass hooga.
I've been writing and producing. Must I always get into this fit of rage?
Knock it off before the earthquake comes.
Oh, boy.
By this episode, I should have released my Child's Play editorial that I'm working on right now, but by the time this episode comes out...
Yeah, go back and read that shit. It was great.
Yes. That article should be on the website. As they said before, there should be a lot of Monster Mania coverage on both deadentertainment.com and Way of Life Network. So make sure you check that out. And please also check out my gaming channel on YouTube. You can check it out easily by just going to bit.ly/ldgaming. That's Live Deliciously in Game. I do all kinds of giveaways and horror chat and just game streaming. So if you like that kind of shit and you want to win free shit, go over and subscribe to my channel. Anybody else have any other closing nonsense?
No, I've got my nonsense out of the way.
Alright, guys. So again, thank you so much for checking out episode 3, and we will definitely see you next time. Until then, keep those horns raised high, always and forever, bloody, drunk, and heavy. Later, guys.